Karamihan ng bigwigs na nasa market ngayon ay mayayaman. And I don't want that. Because when the market is that shallow, it is not good for the poor people. Like me, you know naman my story, di ba? Nagsimula akong mahirap. Mga parents ko naghiwalay. Hindi na nga ako tumangkad kasi wala akong yung supon ko, ang laman, hindi man lang formula milk. Alam mo yun? But I made my money in the stock market and I want everybody else to do it. And for the stock market to be stable, the people who invest there should do value investing. They should do it soundly, intelligently. Kung humahabol lang tayo ng hot stock tip, ay wag na lang kayo mag-invest. Masisira lang lahat yan. Napakaraming mga investment sites and people are just saying, bakit na? Bumili na kayo. Alam mo kung ano nangyayari? Instead na nagba-buy low, sell high, ang nangyayari, nadadala ka ng chismis. So, usually, ganun katindi yung chismis pag malapit na siyang bumagsak. Bibili ka, buy high, bagsak, iiyak, sell low. That's the opposite of what you should do. That's what creates market crashes.
Ayoko na pag-aralan yan. Sabihin mo na lang sa akin kung ano bibilin ko, tapos gagayahin na lang kita. What's your take on that?
Neck mo.
Okay guys, we're in for a very, very, very special treat. You wanted Salve. Salve is back. But this time, better than ever, guys. This interview will be filled with so much information, so much of her wisdom that I'm sure you will be asking for more. So if you are enjoying Salve being back here, comment it below. Hashtag I love Salve. I love Salve if you want a part 3 of this. Okay. Salve, how are you before we begin?
Marvin, pag nagaganyan ka, kinakabahan ako kasi baka mamaya isa lang mag-I love Salve. Walang nagmamahal sa akin. Paano na yan?
Huwag natin pahiyain si Salve. Kung last time, 1,000 likes, kung mahal nyo talaga si Salve, 2,000 likes! Paabutin nyo na 2,000 likes, hindi babalik si Salve kung wala 2,000 likes yung video.
Talaga yung followers mo, pinaiyak nyo ko, as in, sobrang pinaiyak nyo ko nun. Pinanood ko ng so many times that interview, by the way. So maraming salamat. And then I looked at all the comments. Imagine mo, binasa ko lahat ng comments. Grabe.
Let's get into the thick of the action. You are a very, very staunch advocate of value investing and Warren Buffett. We talked about it little by little in the past video. Pero, I have a question right now. We are in the pandemic. Relevant pa ba ang value investing ngayon? Because may extremes in the Philippines, prices have been going lower than its value. In the States naman, prices have been going higher than its value.
Weird, di ba? Sobrang tindi kasi ang layo ng dalawang case studies. If you're going to look at, well, it's just the US. And then the rest of the world, bagsak. The US, medyo weird because people there have a lot of money. So, valid ba ang value investing? It has not been as valid as it is now. Lalo na in a market that goes down. If you notice, Marvin, history of time, lahat ng mga market investors, lagi yan excited pag umaakyat, nagte-trading, nagaganyan-ganyan. Tapos, pag bumabagsak ang market, nagiging value investors. Diba? Alam mo yun kasi it's when the market is really going up that any monkey can make money in the market. You just throw a dart, you'll hit a stock, you'll make money because everything's going up. Pero during times like this, dito mo makikita kung ano yung importance ng pagtingin sa cash flow, pagtingin sa balance sheet. When you're buying a stock like you're buying a business, that's when you make money as a value investor. Kasi para kang financial detective. Ikaw, Marvin, ginagawa mo to Kakaiba ka nga Para kang juggler and a financial detective at the same time. Juggler because you're looking at all of these stocks. Some are going up, some are going down. You want to find out which one will go up. Lahat natin, hindi ko kaya yung ginagawa mo Alam mo yon? Ako, aaminin ko talaga, very few human beings are wired to make money in the stock market by trying to predict where the chart will go. Very few, iilan lang kayo sa balat ng lupa ang kayang gumawa niyan. The rest of the humans and the humans and the cats and the dogs, hindi, I never know where the market will be tomorrow. And that's what Buffett also says. So, how do you make money in a situation like that? You look at the stock, you look at the fundamentals, and you make sure that you buy a stock, not just because it's on the ticker tape, it's either flashing red or green, but you're buying it because it's a piece of a business. Okay, so ano yung ibig sabihin nun? Dapat alam mo yung business.
You said that dapat alam mo yung cash flow. If they will look at Philippine companies, since nakalist naman yung balance sheet ng companies for 5 years, how do they determine na okay pa tong cash flow na tong company na to, okay yung balance sheet nila?
Ang ganda ng question na yan kasi pandemya ngayon eh. So for the last 10 years, all the companies that you're expecting cash flow, kunwari retail, everybody goes to SM, everybody goes to Ayala. Mawalan lang tayo, magka-holiday lang, lahat ng tao pupunta doon. So syempre, saan pupunta yung cash? Think of cash like it's water. Where does it go? It goes to the place where, alam mo, depende sa tension and the level, di ba? You go to the malls, everybody goes there. So all the cash goes there. So you know exactly which companies have good cash flow because every day money goes there. Even in the manner in our everyday lives, we know where people's money goes. And so that's how you see which listed companies have great cash flows. But you also have to look at the other side. Sino yung umuutang ng malakas? Saan pumupunta yung cash flow na to? So it's like water. Diba? It sludges around, it goes around. Saan pumupunta yung cash flow? Yung pera ng mga kumpanya. Mas marami bang pambayad sa utang? Dahil over-leveraged siya. So when you look at that, you have a quick and dirty picture of how good a company is if you want to buy it and it just sits there in your portfolio. Marvin, there's one thing that value investors always, if you're a value investor, you choose a stock that you can sleep with even if you don't look at the stock market for 10 years.
Most talked about stocks over the past, I think, few months. How will you analyze dito, telecoms community as a value investor? What's your take in it? Kasi there's people saying na speculative pa siya. There's people naman saying that hindi, it will challenge and it will beat all of the other telco companies also. As a value investor, what's your take on this?
A value investor always looks at what is the business worth if it's dead. Kunwari, itong kumpanya na to ay namatay today. What does it have? Ano yung value? Kaya valuation. What does it have? Does it have land? What kind of properties does it have? What kind of assets does it have? And that includes the products that it have, yung intellectual property rights ng product na yon, the system of selling, the system of distribution, and all of those things. You look at that business, and then you put a certain value on those different parts of the business. And then if you're going to sell all of those businesses, how much will you get for everything? And then you divide that simply by the number of stocks, and then you see what kind of stock price you would get. Because you know, Marvin, there's another thing. No company is worth buying at any price. So, kunwari, there's a great company. People just think, oh, saan ka bibili? Marvin, saan ko lalagay ang pera ko? Dapat pa bumili ako ng dito. Dapat pa bumili ako ng ganito, ganyan, ganyan. Pag sinabi ng yes, the next question should be at what price? But people always forget the second question. At what price is it good to buy? And value investing, when you analyze the underlying value of the company, will essentially give you the right price with which you should go in. And of course, syempre, just like when you're shopping in Shopee or in Lazada or anywhere else, you want to get a good bargain. So dapat, if it's selling at this price, dapat mas mababa, you buy it cheap. And this difference between where the market is now and at what price you're willing to buy it, the difference there, that's your margin of safety. That's your Marvin of safety. So bakit gusto mo ng Marvin of safety? When you buy it cheap, kahit na magkaroon pa ng second wave, third wave, fourth wave, you're sort of protected kasi mura mo siya binili. So you know now what kind of company is good for a value investor. The second question is, at what price should you buy it? Do you have enough margin of safety? So that if things don't go right, things go south, things go from bad to worse, you're still okay kasi binili mo siyang mura.
You mentioned about looking at the assets, no? Kasi ako, when I talk and when I analyze my own stocks, I look at the PE more, which is focusing on the earnings. How big of an emphasis is the price to book if you're a value investor also? And do you have a suggestion na ito, pag lumampas yung price to book at this level, mahal na ta, ito, pag nandito pa siya, acceptable na sa akin na pasukan siya ng ganun?
Very, very, very good question. Price earnings, you're essentially forward-looking, right? And there is, in this world, as we all know, because of the pandemic, we realized the way we looked at risk is wrong. And there is no foolproof way to show na yung PE ratio na iniisip mo that will happen in the next 5 to 10 years na pre-nice na ngayon ay magiging tama because anything can happen. That's why price to book is very, very important for value investor. But I cannot say, it would be very irresponsible of me to say na pag ganito yung price to book, bumili ka na. Because different industries and different companies have different recommended price to book ratios. So you have to look at parang juggling din in a way. You have to look at all of these things in relation to the kind of industry, in relation to what's the price to book of similar companies around it. Pero one thing for sure, there's no single formula. So price to book and PE ratio, they have to come together.
By the way, for those who don't know, price to book, the higher it is, the better, the uglier the value for you.
Depends nga, Marvs. It depends.
Simulate. Assuming that company A is growing faster, company B is growing slower, then company B that's growing slower from a book value perspective is cheaper versus this one growing faster from a book value perspective is more expensive. What do you like more?
I go for the growing slower. Depending on the business cycle, depending on the macro business cycle, and depending on the internal company-wide company cycle, it's nice to look at companies who are growing smaller, but you've done the research and you know that the product is great, you know that the management is great, you know that research and development is great. So there's parang mix ito ng value investing and growth investing. So you know that if you catch it while it's cheap, based on price to book, then you'll be able to catch it as the price goes up and as the company goes up.
In our other discussion, pinag-usapan natin yung mga purchases ni Warren Buffett. It's not just that he bought a mining company that mines gold. His purchases now, if you look at it 10, 20 years ago, nagbago na kasi sabi niya dati ayaw niya ng tech stocks. Pero Berkshire Hathaway is one of the largest positions of Apple. Tapos if you look at ngayon he bought portions already of Japanese companies na nasa fund management companies also just the past few days. So nag-evolve din yung style niya based on what's happening in this current context.
So I think it's also a reflection of the management now of Berkshire. And as you well know, Warren is 90 plus years old. I mean, he's just one of the super investors na may 60-year-old child. So he's seen all of these. Maybe almost 100 years of investment history. He's seen all of it, and I think he's more open. And his management team is also open to ideas kasi dati alam niya na maraming companies outside the United States that are really good companies. But he was very conservative. I mean, stay within your circle of competence. That's one of the things that he always says. Stay within your circle. Kasi you can make money if you go out of your circle, but then you don't know what the landscape, the topography is outside your circle. So you're carrying within your circle a lot of risks. So stay within your circle. But now, because also of technology, that you can analyze companies across the world using the internet, right? Using so many data, so much data, it's so easy now to analyze. So I think that's why he's really open now to more ideas, more investments. And he's not a gold bug. Like he's always said, gold just sits there and does nothing. Totoo naman, di ba, Mark? It's a hedge for risky times. Pero would you want to invest in a dead thing? compared to a company that evolves, matures, creates value, di ba? So, mas company ka.
Feeling ko kailangan mo talaga ng channel eh. Feeling ko kailangan mo talaga ng channel. Guys, comment below, I love Salve. Kung gusto nyo talaga siya magkaroon ng channel. Feeling ko konting pilit na lang magkaka-channel na siya. Ito, questions, another simulation, company A, company B. There's a lot of ways to look at debt. There are a lot of ratios. Preference naman, no right or wrong. What do you like more? A company who's more leveraged, that's more aggressive and growing faster, or a company who has very minimal debt, close to zero debt, but growing slower?
Takot ako sa utang. Whether it's in a company balance sheet or it's in a personal balance sheet, I'd prefer something that's growing slower. Basta walang masyadong risk sa utang. Of course, a certain level of debt is acceptable, right? Pero compare dun sa company A, company B mo, dun na lang ako sa mas konti utang. You know why, Marks? We realize that we really don't know what's gonna happen in the next 10 years. At the moment, people are talking about a possible credit tightening because of the pandemic. No? Kahit na magbukas na yung ekonomiya, hindi mo alam kung lalabas ang mga tao sa mga bahay nila. Hindi mo alam if they have enough confidence to start opening their wallets. I mean, of course, in Metro Manila, people are buying left and right. Parang gusto natin i-jumpstart yung economy single-handedly by buying from Shopee and Lazada and all our friends who are on IG selling something. Right? But you've seen the numbers. Consumption has gone down. And if people are not willing to spend, these companies are not going to earn. And they're not going to be able to pay their debts. So, banking system, in the end, will have a hard time lending money because natatakot ka na hindi ka mabayaran. If there's going to be credit tightening, if there's going to be a stress on the financial sector, where do you think it's going to go next? Diba? So, magmamahal ang utang and the existing loans will have higher interest. So, yung mga companies mo na super over-leveraged will have a really hard time catching up with those folks. So, mas healthy pa rin yung company na hindi masyadong marami.
Guys, those who are watching this, I don't want you to just remember what she's saying, but remember the logic and the principles behind it. The principles that she has, yun yung pwede nyong i-replicate eh. Kaya nga hindi ko nalilagyan ng pangalan yung mga companies kasi pag nilagyan ng pangalan, sabi, bilhin nyo to, hindi ganun. Look at the principle behind it and then try to do that to the companies that you are trying to analyze and understand. Okay.
Balik ako analogy Marks. Company A, company B, yung isa growing faster, yung isa slower, pero walang utang, mas malakas utang. Parang sports car tsaka simple sedan. Diba? Pwede naman kasing yung sports car mabilis makarating kung saan gusto mo siya makarating. Anong stock price, kailan mo siya ibebenta, mas mabilis. But there's also the bigger risk na mababangga siya. So, ako, being the conservative person that I am, I'd rather go for the slow but sure.
Yung sports car, lagi siyang ginaglamorize eh. But people don't understand that kahit yung sedan, pwede ka rin naman yumaman kahit sedan gamit mo kasi dadating ka rin naman. Tingnan Salve, sobrang yaman. Okay, ngayon, you already said that numbers are not so good. So, one of the things that Warren Buffett would normally say is, if you cannot hold a stock for 10 years, then you should not be holding it for 10 minutes. What if bumili sila ng stock ngayon, tapos 3 years na, wala pa rin nangyayari? And what should you advise to them right now?
Yeah. So, I read this book by Phil Fisher, one of the super mega investors that I also idolize and follow. He said, he keeps a stock for 3 years. First year, 2 years, hindi pa kumikita, ina-analyze na ulit. Tapos, after 3 years, pag hindi pa rin kumikita, he sells. And he replaces it with something that is better value.
May ano ba yan? Merong tier yan na for example, at 3 years, yung tao na loss nila 2%, 2% lang benta ko na. Pero, how about people na medyo malalim-lalim na yung, ano na talaga, parang love life na gusto nila ibaon sa limot yung loss na yun? What if it's already percentage-wise a bigger amount? Should they still let go? Or hintayin muna nila na mas lower yung losses nila?
Ay, lagi nating sinasabi, diba? Don't get married to your investment. Whether I think it's for stock trading or value investing, I think you really have to look at your investments with eyes wide open. Hindi pwedeng you get so attached to it and there's already pride involved. Because you just have to look at the numbers impassionately. And pag kailangan na let go na natin. Whether it's love life or stock life, it's
how does one
si
say...
Marvin, ang love life na ganda.
Wala, pag di ka gwapo, kailangan mapagmahal ka talaga eh. Wala akong choice eh. Walang fall block fan. Anyways, speaking of losses, how does one know na di talaga sa akin yung stock market? Wag na lang ako mag-stocks, wag na ako mag-equity funds, time deposits na lang ako, tapos di na lang ako gagastos ng malaki. Simple ako na ang buhay ko.
In my own opinion, how do you know if you should invest in stocks or not? Or you should just maybe try other kinds of investment. Number one, kung ayaw mo magbasa ng financial statement ng isang kumpanya, I really don't suggest that you put your money in stocks. But you can still own stocks through index funds.
Ayan na, dahil sinabi mo financial statement, madami na nag-unsubscribe. So, joke lang. Ganun pala kahirap.
Kung ayaw mo talaga magbasa ng financial statements, pero nakikinig ka naman kay Marvin Guermo, pwede na rin siguro yun. O, sige.
Okay, para sa akin, okay lang na kung meron silang channel, kunyari may channel ka na, guys, kung may channel si Salve, kahit mag-unsubscribe kayo sa akin, okay lang talaga. Kasi feeling ko mas madami kayo mapupulot sa kanya kesa sa akin. Kasi I guess wala nang alternative. There's no more alternative eh. Okay, continue. So, financial statements, ayaw nila index fund. Continue.
Okay. You don't have to, like Marvin, every day be attached to the stock market. In fact, sabi ko nga, pwedeng hindi ka tumingin sa stock charts or ayaw mo ng everyday na updates, okay lang yun. It doesn't matter. So long as you understand the financial position of the companies that you're trying to buy. Because as I said, value investors buy stocks because it's a business. It's not just a paper or a number on a screen. Okay? It's a real business. And if you don't understand this business, you have no business owning even just a little single slice of that stock. So, dapat alam mo, at least for once, inintindi mo yung financial statement. Kung ayaw mong basahin yan, makinig ka sa episode ni Marvin Guermo pag dinidiscuss niya yung financial statement ng isang kumpanya. Pagka ganito, yung konting taas tsaka baba, hinihimatay ka na sa tako. Sometimes, when you start and you're like that, okay pa yon kung after certain mentoring, umattend ka ng Stock Smarts, nagbasa ka ng libro ni Marvin, tapos minentor ka pa niya, di ba? Meron kang one-on-one mentoring. After some time na nagme-mentoring, sometimes all the jitters go away. You know why? Because the amount of financial intelligence and effort that you put into investing reduces your risk. So Marvin, hindi ako naniniwala dun sa 100 minus age equals this is the amount of money that you should put in stocks or bonds. I don't believe that. I totally reject it. You know why? The amount of money you should put in stocks or bonds does not depend on your age. Kung yun lang naman ang gagamitin mo, inaamin mo sa buong mundo na wala kang ganito. Diba? Ang totoo nun, the amount of money you should put in stocks should depend on the amount of time that you will put into studying a certain company. So kung mas mataas, kahit nasa simula medyo takot ka, wala kang alam, okay lang yun. Pero kung maglalagay ka ng enough time, then you can put more money in stocks. Because the more intelligence you put in this kind of investment, the lower your risk goes.
Ito yung mga statements and I want you to chime in. What's your comment and feedback on this? Number 1, Salve! Ayoko na pag-aralan yan. Sabihin mo na lang sa akin kung ano bibilin ko tapos gagayahin na lang kita. What's your take on that?
Nek mo. Ayoko! Alam mo ba, Mars? From time to time, somebody will send me a message, can I send my money to you? Ikaw na lang ang mag-invest ng pera ko. Ganon sila. People are trusting. And I tell them, not just because you see my face on TV or you see me on Marvin Guermo's channel, doesn't mean you can trust me. Anything I say, you should study that also before you put your money in it. So para sa akin, kung tatamad-tamad ka na investor, huwag ka na lang mag-follow. Sorry. Ganon. Kasi nakakatakot yun eh. Diba? I mean, all of these, whatever you do, it's your risk. So I'd rather be followed by only 5 people compared to 5,000 people if those 5 people are willing to do what's necessary to invest intelligently in the stock market. The stock market is not for rich people. It's for the ordinary person, the student ngayon na nahihirapan mag-online learning, na nasa sarangani at walang ibang way to make money. Walang business si mama at si papa na sasalo sa kanya. But he's willing to work and study really hard, but he has to have passive investment. Now, the stock market is now, can I just say, for the first time I will say this, it's the graph is a graph of rich people's people. Karamihan ng bigwigs na nasa market ngayon ay mayayaman. And I don't want that. Because when the market is that shallow, it is not good for the poor people. Like me, you know naman my story, di ba? Magsimula akong mahirap. Mga parents ko naghiwalay. Hindi na nga ako tumangkad kasi wala akong yung coupon ko, ang laman, hindi man lang formula milk. Alam mo yun? But I made my money in the stock market and I want everybody else to do it. And for the stock market to be stable, the people who invest there should do value investing. They should do it soundly, intelligently. Kung humahabol lang tayo ng hot stock tip, ay, wag na lang kayo mag-invest. Masisira lang lahat yan. Kasi that's how the 2008 fiasco in the United States began. That's how Black Thursday ba? Black Monday. Dito natuloy ako, na-excite ako masyado sa conversation. You know, all of these things that caused the market to crash can be corrected by a more intelligent band of investors. And yun yung ginagawa ni Marvin. Ini-invest niya kayong lahat para lumawak at lumalim yung stock market, and then it will be safer for everyone, for retirees, for young kids, for mommies and daddies na merong ginagastusan na mga nanay tsaka tatay na matatanda, may maliliit na baby. Where do you get the extra money? Sana sa stock market yun. But it's gonna be a lot safer if people invest more in it.
Alam ko kung ano mas gusto ni Salve kaysa mag-invest tao sa stock market. Alam niyo, gusto niyo malaman, guys? Pinaka gusto ni Salve, tamaan niyo yung like button para sa video na to kung natutuwa kayo at nag-enjoy kayo sa sinasabi ni Salve. Anyways, last statement. You said that people invest intelligently. Paano yung mga there's so much stock na eto na lang, bilhin mo tong stock na to, it will go and zoom up to hit 100%, it will 10 times your money. The reason why I asked that, because a lot of people buy it because under the belief that hope na it can take me out of that situation.
Napakaraming mga investment sites and people are just saying, bakit na, bumili na kayo. Alam mo kung ano nangyayari? Instead na nagbabuy low, sell high, ang nangyayari, nadadala ka ng chismis, usually, ganun katindi yung chismis pag malapit na siyang bumagsak. So when you hear that, when you hear people saying, alam mo, everybody's buying this stock because it's really going up, you'll miss the ride. Bibili ka, buy high, bagsak, iiyak, sell low. That's the opposite of what you should do. And that's what creates market crashes. And really, this is not good for the economy. This is not good for the food. Pag nakakarinig na kayo ng mga ganun, when everybody's talking about a particular stock, ang chart doon is, it's too late to get in.
Kung gusto nyo bumalik si Salve para sa ikwento niya yung success story niya, lagay nyo naman dyan, I love Salve, and then we'll see kung pwede natin gawan ng paraan.
Pag-iiyakan tayo pag tinanong mo ko about my personal story.
Ito hinihintay naman ako kaya nagstay sila until the end. Ano yung pasabog natin? Anong meron? Anong gusto?
Dahil sa inyo, dahil sa mga followers ni Marvin Guillermo alam mo, because Marvin has such a big heart. Hindi siya madamot. Alam mo ba na madaling araw mini-message niya ako at tinututor niya ako how to make it big on YouTube. Because he has such a big heart. I think he attracts people also who have big hearts. So a lot of you, since the last time I guested here and you said, I want Salve, a lot of you went to my Facebook and pinilit nyo ako. Actually, binuli nyo ako online. And ako naman, very willing victim. So, you bullied me online, and because of that, finally, my YouTube channel has started. It's called Salve Says, and it talks about yung investment tsaka stock trading kay Marvin yan. Kaharian na yan eh. Hindi ko yan papakialaman, hindi ko yan papasukin because mas magaling siya kaysa sa akin. But me, I really talk about personal finance for the masses. Sabi ko nga, the ordinary Filipino, they're my people. So this is my advocacy. This is my gift to every Filipino na gustong ayusin yung finances nila. I'll show you exactly my YouTube channel at Salve. And please, mag-iwan kayo ng note. Thank you, Marvin.
Lalagay ko sa description below yung channel niya. Click it, guys. Kung kunyari, pinapanood mo tong video na to for the first time tapos di ka nakasubscribe sa akin, okay lang. Yung subscription nyo sa kanya nyo lang bigay. Let it go there. Tapos, eto pa. Para teaser na lang din, guys. For the very, very first time in YouTube history, sa channel ni Salve Says, first time ko naglabas ng kaldero sa isang video. So, yun ang abangan nyo doon. Never in any of the videos, naglabas tayo ng kaldero with adlay and pangsandok. Pero dahil kay Salve Duplito, ginawa natin yun. Oo. So,
thank you for joining the game. So, with Randall Chongson, his ninong, and Marvin, they fought each other for a life-changing prize. So, nag-scavenger hunt kami. So, watch that episode at tingnan nyo kung bakit naglabas ng kaldero si Marvin.
Okay, to end, any words of encouragement? We are, the first video we did this year was around March, kaka-lockdown lang nun. We are now September, 6 months na yung nakalipas, and it's hitting a lot of people right now na talagang totoo na to. Kasi kahit ako, to be honest, nung first 4 months, 5 months, kala ko parang, uy, bakasyon to, StarCraft lang ako na StarCraft. Tapos nung August na sabi ko, mukhang this will be for a very, very long time. So, parang sabi ko, sige, this is business as usual, pero in a different normal already. So, yun, for people who are at least trying to navigate their way around sa nangyayari ngayon, any words of encouragement?
Oo. Alam mo, Marvin, people, during times like this, I've seen so many market crashes. Okay? Let me just say that. I'm old enough to have seen so many market crashes and people losing almost everything they have. Why am I still in the market today? You don't bet against the economy. People will always say, stocks are dead, the market will never recover. But it is precisely during these times when you can buy things cheap. And if you have enough cash, so cash combined with courage in a crisis helps you make a lot of money. The things that hindi mo magawa when the market is doing better, you can do it now. But only if you have the right temperament for it. Marunong ka maging patient, marunong ka mag-aral to invest intelligently, and only if you don't think that money is the most important. It's dangerous, Marvin, for investors to think that money is the most important thing because you won't get things right all the time. There will be times when you lose money. And people who believe that money is their life, when they lose money, they yell at their beautiful wives. Diba? Nagiging impatient ka na, nagiging temperamental ka, and in the end, it's you and cold hard cash. Who wants to live like that? But if you have the right heart, and you know that money is important, but it's not the most important, but you're willing to study it because you know that having money allows you to do the things that are most important. I keep repeating this, Marvin, because it's just so true for me. So pag ganun yung puso mo, you'll make a lot of money in this crisis and in the next. So don't lose heart. Don't bet against the market. It will always ripple.
Whew. Guys, kung natamaan yung puso nyo doon, comment I love Salve sa description. So, yun, maraming salamat, Salve Duplito. Actually guys, siningit lang to. We did a taping for her channel. Supportahan nyo siya. If there's a couple of channels na, please remember, at this time, we are at the pandemic. So, ang daming negative sa lumalabas sa social media. It's nice to have something that's a breath of fresh air also. Na hindi lang siya breath of fresh air na may inspire kayo, pero something na matutulungan din yung bulsa nyo. Kasi yung kailangan that's been so amplified right now. Especially pag lumabas yung unemployment figures tapos malaki yun. It's time that Filipinos find an avenue that wag nyo na hintayin na gumanda yung economy. Do something na kahit pangit yung economy, na kayo mag-take charge ng sarili nyong pera at sarili nyong economy. So, that's it for now, guys. If you learned a lot from this, like, share, and subscribe to this channel and my other channel, Stock Investing Made Easy, and then to Salve Duplito's channel, Salve Says. And that's it. I hope you guys got a lot from this, and I hope that this gave you something that's insightful. And of course, pag kay Salve, inspirational na, informational pa. And yun, trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon. Thank you so much, Salve Duplito. Bye, everyone.